I have been thinking. I've been thinking. I'm not sure that puts me in any kind of majority. I think we push a button, give a response, and let that do our thinking for us. Or we start playing someone else's tapes, or we start posting someone else's memes. We think from our guts these days. We think from our preconceptions. We think thoughts that arise from the labels we think we ought to wear, and we let that do our thinking for us. There are few out of the box thinkers. I guess there have always been only a few out of the box thinkers. I suspect it would be rather audacious for me to claim to be an out of the box thinker, but I don't know what box to put myself in. Some of my friends call me liberal. Well, I guess I am on some things. If a liberal is someone who hasn't gotten set in their ways, who's willing to think through an issue, who's willing to recognize complexity, who puts loving one's neighbor ahead of making sure one's neighbor is behaving right, who is open to new ideas. Did I already say that? I think I need to say it 3 or 4 times. One who is not in the box. Yeah, I guess I'm a liberal in that way. I believe in taking care of people. I believe in freedom. I believe in dignity for all humanity, no matter what labels they wear or what lifestyle they bear or anything else about them, really. I believe that everybody ought to be treated with dignity. They ought to be called what they want to be called. They ought to be enabled to define themselves rather than have me define them. And I think everybody needs to be free. I think we ought to be generous as individuals and as a society. I think we ought to have more of an open door policy and fewer walls and fewer fences. But am I conservative? Yeah, I believe that we should have a national defense that is very restrained and very reasonable and very efficient. I do believe in protecting borders without making it the most important thing. I am pro-life. From the cradle to the grave, from the womb to the grave. I advise people to respect life. But also, I don't believe we belong in everybody's doctor's office, making sure that the values we freely preach and adamantly preach are being enforced. Now, I don't know where that puts me, but I believe in pro-life, pro-birth, pro not killing the souls of the children that come into this world through poverty and discrimination and hatred and anger and bitterness or violence in our schools. I'm anti-violence and I'm pro-free speech. That's a liberal value and it is a conservative value. I believe in the words of the Declaration of Independence, even if Jefferson did not fully apply them in his own life and policy. I believe in the words and the meaning of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights of the United States of America. I'm very conservative about that. I believe in protecting our values. Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. I do believe that less government is better than more government. I believe that fewer rules are better than too many rules or rinky-dink rules. But I believe in rules that protect people's rights as workers, as individuals, and free speech. Yes. I believe that people who disagree with me should have free speech and should not feel that somebody's going to shoot them. I believe that people should be guaranteed the right to say repugnant things in their own space, that people should burn any flag they want to burn because the Supreme Court of the United States says that's free speech. So that's a conservative value. I don't like it. I don't want it. I won't do it. I stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I put my hand over my heart, and I sing the Star Spangled Banner, even though it's got a verse I disagree with about slavery. I do those things because I believe in our principles. I believe in what we were founded to be. And I still hold on to that. I'm stubborn about that. I'm conservative about that. But do I believe that anybody should be forced to honor the flag or stand or not take a knee? No, I believe in free speech on the right and on the left. I get angry when people shoot people because they say the wrong things or the right things or because they're mean or because they don't like them. I get angry when people use those kinds of things to create angelic beings out of human beings and to advance their own agenda, whether it's from the left or from the right. Honor all life. But you ought to be able to say that Black Lives Matter. You ought to be able to say that Blue Lives Matter. You ought to be able to say that White Lives Matter, whatever a white life is. You ought to be able to say that, because if a particular kind of life is in danger at any particular time, then you've got to single that out and name it. You know, people are suffering all over the place. People are suffering on the right. People are suffering on the left. People are suffering in the middle. Oh, the middle really suffering because the middle doesn't know where to go. The middle doesn't have a voice. You know, the true traditional conservatives don't have a voice anymore. The Republican Party has bowed the knee to Baal. They have been so afraid of Donald Trump and the MAGA movement that they have mistaken MAGA for conservatism. I don't know what MAGA is. I want America to be gentle again. I want America to be reasonable again. I want America to be compassionate again. I want America to be smart again. I want America to be what the poet said we never really were, America again. Why were we never that? Because it is an aspiration. It is a journey. It is an experiment. It is somewhere we are going. And I believe, along with Alexis de Tocqueville, that America is only great to the extent that it is good. When he visited here, he said America is great because America is good. It is the goodness at the root of our ideas, at the root of the soul of so many of our people, that is the only factor that would make us great. Are we a Christian nation? No, we're not a Christian nation. Did some people think we ought to be a Christian nation? Of course. Were Christians at the heart of making us a nation? Were Christian values expressed in our founding documents? Absolutely. But my people, Baptists, lobbied for pluralism and freedom of religion and freedom from the tyranny of a state church. They never wanted to see the marriage of state and church. So Jews and Muslims and Buddhists and atheists should be welcome at the American table on equal standing. Can we find common ground? Yes. When we can't find common ground, we agree to disagree agreeably. But there are certain Christian values that I think are human values as well, that cross the line ethically of all the major religions. And love of neighbor is one of them. And the golden rule is one of them. And that should govern our domestic policy, our foreign policy, how we treat the poor, how we treat the immigrant, how we treat other nations. Yeah, I don't know. Is that conservative? Is that liberal? What is it? What is it? Do things change? Of course they change. Ideas change. Culture changes. What's acceptable in private and personal behavior changes. Can people flaunt it if they want to? This is America, ding dang it. People can flaunt whatever they want. Flaunt what you want. We're not here as Christians, which I am, to impose some sort of culture or Christendom on our nation or our people or on the world. That is wrong. We believe in the power of the Holy Spirit. If we think that we need to coerce people to do anything to comply, then we are denying the power of the gospel and the power of the Holy Spirit to transform people from within. That's what I'm thinking about. That's what's on my mind. That's what's stirring my soul. Now, part of me's angry, part of me's happy, part of me's laughing, part of me's crying, part of me's brokenhearted. So broken for the family of Charlie Kirk and the others, the people, Democrats and Republicans are getting shot at. Children getting shot at in their schools. This is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. But on the other hand, I shall not be diverted from the mission or silenced in telling truth. Because truth transcends all other things, and truth is consistent. I'd love to see the day when liberal and conservative went back to being an adjective rather than a noun. I'd love to see the day. I'd love to see the Democratic Party and the Republican Party dissolved and have a start all over again. But we live in a practical world, and sometimes we have to choose an organization through which we express ourselves and work within that organization and disagree with it. Don't tell me what I believe because of who I affiliate with, because you don't know. Nothing defines us. Don't ban my books and don't police my library. Don't censor my news. And don't hand me all this stuff that just comes from an agenda. That's on my mind. It's on my mind. I mean, I still love you. All of you. Doesn't matter. People who disagree with me have been some of the most important people in my life. Not because they disagree with me, but sometimes because they disagree with me, but they've just been that way. Look back on my childhood and people that would be flabbergasted some of my ideas. And I was flabbergasted at some of their ideas. But you know what? They were compassionate. They were caring. They were living out values that I still emulate to this day. We grow, we go, we keep going, we keep at it, we keep changing. That's on my mind. I'm thinking about that. Are you thinking about that? What are you thinking about? What if you sat down and started thinking out loud like I'm doing? I didn't prepare any of this. I didn't know what was going to come out of my mouth. I'm going to probably be sorry that some of it did. Issues. So about issues. Where do you stand on issues? Stop handing me pre-packaged definitions of what the issues are. your agenda. It's not about the pro-life agenda, because if you ask me, if you come to me and say, should I abort this baby? I'm going to say, listen, I'm going to do everything I can to help you have that baby. And if you keep that baby, I believe that we ought to help you as a society raise that child, or help you find a good home for that child. I work in an organization as a volunteer board member that is devoted to helping the foster care system and the adoption system. I believe in that. I believe in those children. But I don't think it's pro-life if you set up a society where those children are going to die early from violence, or as a result of not getting the proper medical attention they need, or as a result of policies, as a result of our bombings, as a result of not being able to escape from an oppressive regime and find a place of refuge in our country, if that's what's necessary. I don't think it's pro-life if we ignore the fact that we are destroying the environment and making certain places in certain cities, you can draw a map around them and see there's more asthma, there's more disease, and making the environment unhealthy for the children that we make sure get born. And I also don't think they're out there chanting for people to get the needle and to bring back capital punishment when we have demonstrated that it is more expensive, it's not fair, it's not a deterrent to anything, and it goes against Jesus. Did the Old Testament allow it? Sure. But my hermeneutic says that Jesus is the standard by which we judge the law. And the only executions that Jesus ever showed up for, one, he broke up, and the other, he went to the cross. So don't tell me you're pro-life if you cheer for people to be killed. Hunger policy, ag policy, vaccine policy that endangers people. Some of these are not reflecting a pro-life position. How many people are going to die in this generation, the next generation, because of some of our policies? What about mean-spiritedness? What about just nastiness toward people? No, I'm not going to say that everybody on the other side from me, if there is a side from me, is mean-spirited. Some of the most compassionate people in the world have ideas that I think are repugnant. Loving people, funny people, people I like to be around, brothers and sisters. This is difficult conversation, isn't it? It's difficult for you to listen to. Of course, you can turn it off if you like to, and I won't be offended. I want to keep talking to you. Say, unfriend me if you disagree with me. People posting that stuff. It's just a lot of who struck John. Why do you unfriend people who disagree with you? What's that going to do for America? How's that going to help us solve our problems if we cut people off and stop listening to them? And while I'm at it, while I'm here offending you, there is no historical, theological, or biblical basis for Christian nationalism. There was a nation that God chose to bless and to use as a servant nation for his purpose. It wasn't America. Does God love America? I think God loves all the nations. Can God use America? Yes. Has the time come and gone when America is that bright light to the world? I think it's come and it's gone. And how about history? Make America great again. You mean a nation that allows slavery? Do you mean a nation that conquers the native people and maligns them and persecutes them and commits genocide against them, whether inadvertently or advertently? Rounds them up and puts them on reservations? Are there two sides to the story? Sure. But these historical revisionists who are trying to promote a nationalism that makes America look great when America wasn't great, they're depriving us of the opportunity to learn from our mistakes and to grow and to be the America we are intended to be by our founding fathers. That America that is great when it is good. That America that called up a generation to end the tyranny in Europe. Now, I honor them. Even as a pacifist, I honor them. I like to think I would have found a role in that. I like to think that I could have put myself in harm's way without actually taking life. But that's me. But that America who called forth the selfless, that America that fought to end slavery, that America that marched for civil rights, that America is great. But that of America that has mistreated people, we need to know that so we don't do it again. I was reading through a history of wars. You can't just say you had the Revolution and we had the War of 1812 and we had the World War II and we had the Spanish-American War back before that, World War I, Vietnam War, and just judge those wars. So, been very few, no generations, and very few decades when we weren't at war somewhere in the world. And most of the time, wars of conquest. Conquest of the Philippines, conquest of Puerto Rico, Cuba. Did we have good reasons? Guatemala. Go on and on, really. Wherever we thought we had an interest, wherever we thought we could conquer. Hawaii. Well, we need to understand that. We don't rewrite history to make ourselves look better. Now, what good is that? That's not America. That is not great. Can America be great? Of course, America can be great when America is good. Is that liberal or is that conservative? Both. I call upon all conservatives to be more liberal and all liberals to be more conservative. And by the way, I call upon all Republicans to take your party back because we need you at the table. We need your reasonable voices. We need your Mark Hatfields at the table. We need your Teddy Roosevelts at the table. We need your Gerald Fords at the table. We need your Dwight D. Eisenhowers at the table. We also need our JFKs and our Lyndon Johnsons and our Jimmy Carters at the table. The table is not complete if it's lopsided, and I am not going to get on a plane with one wing. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. And I believe it with all my heart. With all my heart, I'm a patriot. And with all my heart, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. That comes first. And with all my heart, I love you today. And I want to see us build a country where it's not just my voice. It's not just your voice. It's not just anyone's voice. It's good voices and bad voices and so-so voices and in-between voices and even repugnant voices. Where all lives matter, but also the lives of the oppressed matter. That's what I'm thinking about. What are you thinking about? I'm using a Zoom account. I'm just recording it. I'm recording this. I'm going to put it up. I'm not going to spend a dime creating this video. You can do the same thing. Speak from your heart. And let's come to the table. Let's make a table where we can come. Build community. Work things out. Look each other in the eye. Show some mutual respect. Those of us who are Christians live out our faith by loving our neighbor and loving our enemy. That's what I'm thinking about. That's what's on my mind. God bless you, friends. God bless you. God bless you. And God bless America.